You're standing at a cash machine at 11:47 p.m., staring at the balance like it personally betrayed you. Not zero. Worse. Just enough to keep you in trouble. By the end of this video, you'll have one emergency fund rule you can apply tonight, plus a simple way to calculate your number so your budget stops collapsing every time life sneezes. Because right now, you're not bad with money. You're living without a shock absorber. And when there's no shock absorber, every pothole feels like the end of the road. You do the whole budgeting era. You download an app. You color code categories like you're painting peace onto your finances. You swear, this month will be different. And then, life happens. A cousin's wedding, a bike tire, a surprise school fee. Your phone decides to die dramatically in slow motion. The doctor says, just a small test. Your boss says salary next week. Your landlord says rent today. And your beautiful budget, it folds like cheap plastic. So your brain does what it always does. It creates the budget spiral. You overspend because you got hit by a surprise. Then you feel guilty. Then you punish yourself with a strict plan. Then you slip again because the plan is too tight. Then you give up because you obviously can't stick to anything. Then you swipe, tap, or borrow to feel normal again. Then guilt returns with interest. You're exhausted. You're also normal. It feels true that the fix is a better budget, more discipline, more tracking, more "I will not buy chai outside" speeches. That belief makes sense because budgeting is visible. It's like cleaning your room. You can point at the neat socks and feel in control, but emergencies aren't impressed by neat socks. The hidden mechanism is brutal and simple. A budget without a buffer is not a plan. It's a wish. Your budget can be perfect on paper and still fail in real life because real life is basically a prank channel, and the villain isn't you. It's the monthly payment illusion. That illusion whispers, if you can afford the monthly, you can afford the thing. It's the voice that says, just this once, you'll adjust next month. It's the marketing that turns big costs into small bites so you don't feel the teeth. And when a surprise hits, you don't have money saved, so you turn to the easiest form of money. Future money, credit, borrowing, advances. Bro, I'll return it on payday. It works until it doesn't, because future money is already booked. So here's the one rule that ends the spiral. You build a minimum viable emergency fund before you try to perfect your budget. Not 3 months, not 6. Start with 1 month of essentials. 1 month of must-pay expenses. That's the rule. You can think of it like the circuit breaker in your house. When a short circuit happens, the breaker flips and saves the whole place from burning. It doesn't stop electricity forever. It just stops the fire. That's what 1 month does. It flips the switch before your finances catch flames. Because the budget spiral isn't really about spending. It's about recovery time. How fast can you bounce back after a hit? If the answer is, I need 3 paychecks and 2 favors, you're trapped. If the answer is, annoying but handled, you're free. And yes, lifestyle creep is standing behind you right now, smiling. Lifestyle creep is that harmless thought, I'm earning more now, I should live a bit. It's not evil, it's just sneaky. It upgrades your normal so quietly that you don't notice until you're stressed again. It's the reason your salary increases feel like they vanish into thin air. They didn't vanish. They moved into your routines. Quick reality check. If your emergency fund is 0, every normal expense is one surprise away from becoming debt. That's why you feel like you're always catching up. You are. You're chasing yesterday's problems with tomorrow's money. And the monthly payment illusion loves this. It doesn't sell you products, it sells you permission. Permission to ignore totals. Permission to ignore future use face when the payment notification hits while you're buying groceries. If your emergency fund is below 1 month of essentials, your budget's only job is to feed that fund. Everything else becomes simpler, not stricter. Pause. Read that again in your head. 1 month of essentials first, because a budget is a steering wheel. The emergency fund is the brakes. Without brakes, you can steer perfectly straight into chaos. Now you might be thinking, 1 month? That's still huge. I'm barely surviving. I hear you. That's why this rule works. It's not a motivational poster, it's engineering. Let's prove it with a story.
Start here.
Meet you. Not your name, but your situation. You make 90,000 rupees a month. Or 100,000. Some months 70,000 if work is messy. You live in a city where everything costs just a little more every month like it's a hobby. Your essentials look like this. Rent, 35,000 electricity, plus gas plus water, 10,000 mobile plus internet, 3,000 transport, 8,000 basic groceries, 18,000 medicine parents support, 6,000, that's 80,000 in must pay. Now watch what happens without the buffer, with the same numbers. Month starts. You're feeling responsible. You've allocated groceries 18K, transport 8K, bills 10K, a bit for family, a bit for life. Day 9, the fridge makes a sound like a dying robot. Repair guy says, compressor issue 22,000. You do that slow blink. Inside your head, okay, I'll just move money from food. We'll manage. So you cut groceries. Then you get hungry and tired. Hungry and tired, you is not a spreadsheet person. Hungry and tired, you is a deal person. You buy snacks, quick meals, random small things that feel cheap. By day 20, you've spent more than the original grocery plan anyway, because scarcity makes you chase comfort. That's the scarcity tax. When you feel deprived, you pay extra just to feel okay. And then the second punch lands. Electricity bill is 6,000 higher because of that heat wave and the fan that never rested. Now you're short again. So you borrow 15,000 from a friend. It feels light. It feels like a hack. Until next month arrives and your friend messages, "Bro, any update?" And your stomach drops. Because your next month was already assigned. See the trap? It's not one emergency. It's the chain reaction. A buffer cuts the chain. Here's the easy math reveal with the most common emergency. A 25,000 surprise. Option A, no buffer. You borrow on a credit card or loan at, say, 3% monthly. That 25,000 costs you $750 every month in interest alone, plus the minimum payment. So next month, your budget is smaller by at least 3,000 to 5,000. That smaller month increases the chance of another borrow. That's how debt grows even when you didn't buy anything fancy. Option B, you had 1 month essentials saved. You pay the 25,000. Your fund drops to 55,000. You don't celebrate. You refill it over the next weeks. Your next month is not smaller, it's just normal. Normal is a superpower. And a weird thing happens when you have this buffer. You start spotting fake emergencies. The ones that feel urgent but aren't. The sale that ends tonight. The upgrade you need because someone posted theirs. The restaurant bill you accept because you don't want to be the boring friend. You begin to pause, and that pause is where your money starts listening to you. Pause line. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer shocks. You still spend on life, sure. But if you had 80,000 sitting quietly as a buffer, a surprise doesn't become a disaster. A surprise becomes inconvenient. That's it. Inconvenient. Instead, without that 80,000, the first surprise kicks you into borrowing. Borrowing turns into repayments. Repayments shrink next month. Shrunk month causes more borrowing. And now you're running on a treadmill that's slowly tilting upward. Wait, here's the catch. You don't need to save 80,000 like one big heroic move. You need to build it like a wall, one brick at a time, and the wall still works before it's finished. So we use a tiny math reveal. No scary formulas, just honesty. Step 1. Write your must-pay number, not your whole lifestyle. Only what keeps the lights on and you employed. Rent or minimum housing. Utilities average. Basic food you can cook. Transport to work. Minimum debt payments if you have them. Medicine, that's it. Step 2. Add them up. That total is your 1-month target. Step 3, divide it into weeks because your brain can handle weeks. Your 1-month target, 4, that's your weekly brick. If your essentials are 80,000, your weekly brick is 20,000. If that's impossible, you don't quit. You shrink the brick. You do 5,000, then 6,000, then 7,000, because consistency beats drama. And here's the psychology piece. Your brain needs proof, not promises. When you save even a small amount and it stays there, your brain starts trusting you again. Trust reduces panic. Less panic means fewer impulsive purchases. Fewer impulses means the budget finally gets oxygen. That's micro payoff number 1. Emergency fund isn't just money. It's permission to stay calm. Micro payoff number 2. A buffer breaks the all or nothing mindset. When you mess up a category, you don't declare bankruptcy on your entire plan. You adjust, like an adult. Wild concept, I know. Micro payoff
Start
number
with
3.
1 month.
When you have a buffer, you stop using future money for present problems, which means next month is actually yours, not owned by last month's emergency. One more tiny twist that makes this work faster. Name the fund something aggressive. Not savings, savings sounds optional. Name it do not touch, or fire extinguisher, or rent shield, because your brain treats labels like instructions. And put a simple rule on paper. If the expense is planned, it's not an emergency. If it's avoidable by waiting a week, it's not an emergency. If it's only happening because you feel awkward saying no, it's not an emergency. Yes, that includes half the sudden social spending. Your wallet should not be paying for your fear of being judged. Also, keep the emergency fund boring to access. No debit card attached, no one-tap transfer. Make it slightly annoying. Annoying is protection. Micro payoff number 4, friction is cheaper than interest. And since we're being real, family pressure is powerful in South Asia. You don't just spend for yourself, you spend to keep peace, you spend to avoid being called kanjus. You spend because an elder said, "It's fine, you'll earn again." They mean well, but your bills don't care about vibes, so your emergency fund becomes your boundary without the fight. You can say, "I can't right now," and mean it, because you're not empty. You're building safety. That's not selfish.
Better decisions
That's responsible.
when not panicking.
Now, how do you actually build it without feeling like you're starving? This is where people go wrong. They try to build the fund by cutting only fun stuff, and then they become miserable. Miserable people don't budget. They binge. Your brain doesn't do forever punishments. It does escape. So we make it automatic, small, and boring. Boring is powerful. Boring is rich. You treat your emergency fund like rent, a bill you pay to yourself, not when you feel inspired, not when something is left, because nothing is ever left. There's always another thing waiting with its hand out, and the monthly payment illusion will try to remind you. Just get the new phone on installments. Just take the bike on easy monthly. Just upgrade the TV, it's only $5,000 a month. That illusion is a magician. It hides the total cost and shows you the monthly card, and you clap, then you cry later. So your emergency fund is the anti-magic trick. It makes you look at money in total, not in monthly bites. Okay, objections. Let's handle them like grown-ups. Objection 1, but I have debt. Shouldn't I pay that first? If your debt has insane interest, yes, you should attack it. But here's the problem. If you have zero buffer, every surprise pushes you back into debt. So you're digging while someone keeps refilling the hole. The solution is a split. Build a tiny starter buffer first, like 10,000 to 20,000, so you stop panicking. Then do the 1-month essentials while paying minimums on debt. Then, once you hit the 1-month line, you can go aggressive on debt. You'll actually stay aggressive because you won't keep getting knocked out. Objection 2. What if an emergency bigger than 1 month happens? Then 1 month buys you time. Time to negotiate. Time to plan. Time to not take the worst loan from the worst uncle with the worst attitude. 1 month is not the finish line. It's the bridge out of chaos. After that, you can extend to 2 months, then 3, step by step. Objection 3. I tried saving before and I always end up touching it. Of course you did. You didn't have a rule for what counts as an emergency. Your fund became a whenever I want fund. So you need a gate. New rule inside the rule. Emergency fund is only for problems you didn't schedule and can't ignore. Not for sales, not for I deserve it. Not for a random weekend because you're bored. Boredom is not an emergency. It's a personality test. And you give it friction. Put it in a separate bank, separate wallet, separate account. Somewhere that takes one extra step to access. That extra step is your future self grabbing your wrist and saying, "Are you sure?" Now, the do this tonight plan. 2 versions depending on where you are. If you're broke or overwhelmed, tonight, open a notes app or a scrap paper. Write the 6 essentials. Housing, utilities, food, transport, minimum debt, medicine, family support. Write the smallest honest monthly number for each. Add them. That's your 1 month target. Then choose your brick amount. It can be tiny, even 300 a day, even 500 a day, even 1,000 3 times a week. Pick something you can do without becoming angry at the world. Set an auto transfer if possible. If not, set a daily reminder and physically move the money. Give yourself a refill rule too. Anytime you use the emergency fund, the next 10 transfers go to refilling it before anything else. Not because you're being punished, because you're restoring the shield. If you get paid daily or weekly, even better. Make the transfer the first thing after you get paid. Before food apps see you, before your friend sends a movie text, before your brain starts negotiating. You're faster than your impulses. And please, stop waiting for the perfect month. There is no perfect month. There is only the month you decided to protect. And here's the key. Celebrate keeping it untouched for 14 days. Not by spending it, by noticing it. You're building identity. You are someone who keeps promises to yourself. Also, do one more savage move. Cut one leak for 30 days. Just one, not 10. One leak. Maybe it's food delivery. Maybe it's random online shopping. Maybe it's that subscription you forgot you had. One leak, 1 month. That's it. You're not becoming a monk. You're becoming stable. If you're stable and ready to optimize, tonight calculate your 1 month essentials the same way. Then check your current buffer. If you're below the line, redirect money from nice-to-have categories into the fund until you hit it. Once you hit 1 month, automate the next phase. 2 months, then 3. But don't do it by making life joyless. Do it by raising income or cutting silent costs. Silent costs are the ones you don't feel day to day, like high bank fees, useless insurance add-ons, expensive data plans you don't use, or too many only 800 rupees purchases that become a whole rent. Then do a move that feels boring but changes everything. Create sinking funds. A sinking fund is just savings for an expense you already know is coming. School admissions, car maintenance, Eid shopping, annual insurance, a laptop replacement. These are not emergencies. They are calendar events wearing a mask. You don't need 10 sinking funds. Start with one, the biggest predictable hit in your year. If Eid usually costs you 30,000, you don't magically become different in Ramadan. You start putting 2,500 a month aside now. So when the season arrives, you're not doing financial parkour. This is another hidden win. When predictable costs stop pretending to be surprises, your emergency fund stays for real chaos. Real chaos is a broken tooth, a sudden job gap, a family medical bill, not the sale ends tonight. Pattern interrupt. An emergency fund doesn't make you rich. It makes you unbuyable, meaning you don't get controlled by urgency, shame, or other people's timelines. Then add a rule for any big purchase. If you want something that costs more than 1 week of your brick, you wait 72 hours. No exceptions. You don't need willpower, you need delay. Delay kills impulse. Impulse is the monthly payment illusion's best friend. Pattern interrupt, your salary isn't your safety. Your buffer is. Another one, a budget is not a personality trait. Now let's make this cinematic again. Remember you at the ATM at 11:47 p.m. The next version of you is at the same machine, same time, same annoying fluorescent light. But this time you're not bargaining with the screen. You're not doing that quiet math where you pretend numbers will stretch if you believe hard enough. You see the balance and you feel steady. Because behind the scenes, there's a pocket of money that exists only for chaos, a firewall. And yes, life will still throw surprises, but you won't be thrown with them. You'll start noticing something almost unfair. When you're not panicking, you make better decisions. You negotiate better. You sleep better. You say no faster. You don't buy comfort in the shape of things. You buy comfort in the shape of time. That's the real upgrade. Not a new phone, not a new car, not a fancier brunch. Time, breathing room, a future that isn't already pawned off in monthly installments. So tonight, don't chase the perfect budget. Build the shock absorber. 1 month of essentials. Minimum viable emergency fund. Then the budget finally has a chance to work. 6 months from now, you won't brag about it in group chats. No one claps for a quiet buffer. But you'll notice the difference in tiny moments. You'll book a mechanic without begging your cousin. You'll buy medicine without doing the maybe it'll get better gamble. You'll handle a small job gap without turning your life into a crisis movie. And when your fund reaches 1 month, you don't stop. You level up. 2 months makes you confident. 3 months makes you dangerous in the best way. Because you can walk away from bad deals. You can say no to toxic work. You can negotiate without desperation leaking out of your voice. Also, keep this money safe and boring. Not in crypto. Not in stocks you'll panic sell. A simple savings account or a low-risk money market type option is fine. The job of this money is not growth. Its job is speed. Speed is safety. Your investing dreams come after your safety rule is real. A house needs a foundation before you decorate it. You haven't been failing. You've been fighting a storm with an umbrella made of paper. Get the windshield. Drive anyway. One last promise to yourself. You don't touch that fund to feel better. You touch it to keep your life standing. When it's full, it sits there like a bouncer at the door, blocking chaos from entering. When it's used, you refill it like you refill oxygen. If you do nothing else after this, at least write your must-pay number and start your first brick. That single move is you flipping the breaker before the sparks spread. Tomorrow, you'll still have problems. You'll just have space. And space is where good decisions live, even when everyone else is rushing you. Breathe. And when the balance stares back at you late at night, you'll stare back like you own the story.